Hey everyone, welcome to More Layers. I'm Seth Mariano.
And I am Jordan Smith. Now, if you have not seen the show before, here's how it generally works. Seth and I take about a week or so to research a little bit a topic that we felt like discussing because we don't stick to a generic theme. We usually pick something and then we look up some stuff about it, ask each other some questions. And when we're done answering those, we then move on to game time, where we usually have a little fun with each other. Usually it winds up with us quizzing each other. That's all good. And then when we're done there, we go on to two sections called News That Bites and News That Rocks. News That Bites is something that either happened in the news or in our personal lives that wasn't necessarily a good thing. And then News That Rocks is something good that happened, again, either personal or on the news. And once all that is completed, we usually do our outro, we end the episode, and then before Seth and I sign off, we decide on a topic for the next episode, and the cycle starts over again.
So today we have a main topic that is probably a big trending one: TV commercials.
Yep.
So I have a few questions, and first one I wrote down: does TV advertising rely too heavily on gimmicks? And if so, what are some examples?
Well, whether or not they rely too heavily on gimmicks, I kind of would think it's hard to say, as advertising usually would want to use some form of gimmick or something similar to that, because the whole point is to attract people to whatever they may be advertising. So they want to do something that'll catch the consumer's eye. What is annoying, however, is when the same commercials or ads play over and over, especially in a short amount of time. One channel that I've found that does this notoriously is Nickelodeon. Because there have been times where I have access to it because I normally don't. And in between their episodes, they'll often play the same 4 or 5 ads repeatedly. And that's when it bothers me. So gimmicks normally don't bother me, but when they're constantly repeated, that's what bothers me.
So how do you access Nickelodeon on those rare occasions?
Well, in most cases, it's usually when I'm house sitting for somebody because they have it. So if I'm there for a week or so and I'm looking for something to have on in the background, or if there's a show I actually do want to check out, then I flip it on. And usually, if it's like SpongeBob or something, I'll watch a few episodes. And in between every episode, they would often play a lot of the same commercials repeatedly.
So everyone wins. When someone's away, their house gets taken care of, and you get a little unusual entertainment.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I can't say I've been too annoyed by repetitive advertising as I guess you are, but there was one time I remember during a NASCAR race that they kept playing the same old Mean Joe Green Coke commercial from like decades ago, but which it seemed like every break they went to that for some reason. I never knew why, but
Hmm.
I don't get it.
And I remember now that I think about it, there was one specific example that drew me nuts. I think it was a Super Bowl ad too, because for a little while, Bud Light used to have this catchphrase that they tried to get popular. I think it was something like "Dilly Dilly," just because of how
Oh,
many
I
times.
remember that.
Yeah, just because of how many times they said it, though, along with how many ads they had where that was featured. it just really bugged me for some reason. I can't quite explain it, but man, it drove me nuts.
Yeah, kind of ranks up there, I guess, with when they did that one where people kept saying "dude."
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah, yeah. I think it was the same product, right? Bud Light, right?
I think so.
Yeah,
Well, I'd have to
I
do a little bit more
guess.
research on that.
I'm not certain. I'm pretty sure though.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, my answer. I said sometimes they rely too heavily anyway. I didn't really have much, if any, specifics to cite, but just um, a couple companies that I feel like do this often are Geico and Progressive. I don't
Okay.
know. They seem to do some of the goofiest things you'd ever see in between a TV program, and there's probably too many examples for me to even name. Sort of.
Well, I know with Geico, they've done a few of those. Like, I know there would be that guy that would ask you, "Can switching to Geico really save you 15% or more on car insurance?"
Yes.
And then he'll add on some sort of nursery rhyme thing or some tongue twister or phrase or something that people use, and they will then cut to that phrase being used literally. Like one was, "Do woodchucks chuck wood?" And it would show woodchucks actually throwing wood into a body of water. Or "Does the buck stop here?" And it showed an actual buck stopping right in front of him. So that was one that they sometimes used.
And apparently the woodchuck one was so popular it got some throwback play.
It got some throwback. It had a sequel of sorts. Um,
Yes, yes, the lumber store, right.
and I think Geico also had at one point, I don't think there were as many, but there was a series of ads that they had that involved talking paintings or something.
Oh yes, yes, like talking RV decals and antique toy stuff and yeah, that kind of thing. A lot of personification with those kind of things.
Yeah, right, right. I feel like there was at least one or two other series that they did that were really popular, though I can't quite put my finger on it.
Yeah. Yeah, well, so I mentioned that, and then a series of ads. That's I think mostly ran during the NFL, like in the 2000s. Terry Tate, office linebacker, a series of Reebok ads.
I
Well,
don't remember those, but
a series of it's a sort of like a series of workplace comedy short films where an office place has this linebacker guy and basically tackles employees when he catches them doing things they shouldn't or making mistakes or other stuff.
okay.
Yeah. I don't know if maybe you've seen like the Christian media parodies, like the evangelism linebacker, the Easter linebacker.
I
Yeah,
have seen him.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, I think it's pretty obvious that that was kind of their version of that Terry Tate. Yeah,
I mean, it works.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I was recently watching a couple or so of the ads, the Terry Tate ads for Reebok, repeatedly a couple times or so, and there are entertaining, but they don't really get me thinking about athletic apparel or whatever Reebok is making. But they are entertaining, but I don't really think they served a sort of advertising purpose like they were claiming to.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, yeah. I would be interested though in seeing the Terry Tate concept kind of be expanded into like a full blown TV sitcom. I think I would probably enjoy that.
That actually would be entertaining now that you mention it.
Yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. Yeah, the commercials are pretty fun. If you ever get a chance to watch them on YouTube.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to do that because I have
Yeah.
seen like the evangelism linebacker, the Easter and Christmas linebacker. I usually go back to those around those holidays. So yeah, I'm gonna have to see what these are all about.
Yeah. Yeah. You watch those Christian versions and think you can pretty much see the Terry Tate influence on them if you know those ads.
Well, sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And so then the question I had next, what are some ads that you think had a good balance of creativity and information?
All right. So for this one, I didn't really point out any specific ones too much. I more so
Okay.
kept a couple of my answers generic. The first one that came to my mind was all of Allstate's quote unquote mayhem ads
Okay.
because it usually involved the guy doing something so ridiculous that it would catch your attention, but it would also get the information across. It's like if you don't get the insurance, you could have something like this happen to you, but it's still done in a comedic fashion to make you laugh and thus maybe quote it later or talk about it with other people or say something like, "Hey, you got to see this. This is great."
I do think it's smart that they use the, I guess, mayhem character to sort of visualize like some what I imagine are common mishaps or setbacks with home and car and beaten,
Yep.
and they do, yeah, more or less get the information about insurance across, or the Allstate specifically.
Yeah, like he's done ones where say he stomps on a branch so that it falls on a car or he represents the blind spot on the side of a vehicle or something that distracts people on the side of the road.
Uh,
And then I think there was one as well where he pretended to be a faulty GPS.
yeah. I
Basically,
hide big things. Yes,
yep,
you mentioned that.
yep.
Mhm.
Honestly, the blind spot one is probably one of my favorites.
All right. So was that all you had for
I
that
had
one?
I had one more, which
Okay.
was the idea of when fast food restaurants use characters from a movie to also advertise that movie. So, like
Yeah.
when
Okay.
Sonic 2, when that movie was coming out, they had Sonic and Tails working the drive-through at a McDonald's. It's like, okay, so that puts them in the real world, it puts them in a goofy scenario, and at the same time, it advertises both the restaurant and the movie.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
it's
I
that
did.
kind of idea when they connect the two together somehow.
Yeah. Yeah. I do remember seeing thing because Mr. Coat, YouTuber that I've watched a lot of, did a whole video, looking back at some of the McDonald's Happy Meal toys, and he showed one ad that showed the Animaniacs sort of superimposed with a live action McDonald's, and they're promoting this Animaniacs toy giveaway, and they have them kind of interacting with the live action stuff going on, and
Mhm.
that sort of thing. Yeah. So there's one other example that just popped in my head.
Right. And
Yeah.
another one that popped in my mind right now, just now, was it was also McDonald's, but it was for the recent movie Lightyear, where Buzz and his crew were exploring this forest jungle like environment, and all of a sudden they see a Happy Meal box just sitting there on a rock. So they're like, "What is that?" So Buzz goes to investigate. It's like, "Oh, it's lunch."
Yeah. I had a bunch of specific examples that it's an unusual amount of things for one question probably for me, but I'll try not to go too far with them. I first said a Napa commercial where they did a series of commercials where they had an actor on camera sort of lip sync to someone's singing track, and they did one where uh, bas- basically guy said, I'm not good at human medical stuff, but I'm a good car doctor, and they show him, working behind the counter at a Napa store, kind of helping a guy out, giving him some advice on what to do. So
Okay, and like you said, they were lip syncing to the song.
yeah,
Yeah, I think I remember at least a couple of these. I didn't. How many did you say there were?
I didn't say a specific amount, but I know there are of
Oh,
them. I know most of them. I think had NASCAR drivers like Michael Waltrip and Martin Truex Jr.
okay.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
remember there
So
being at least two of them.
yeah, yeah. And then there were a couple ones starring characters from Peanuts, specifically for MetLife and a snack cake called Zingers. There's I'm pretty much like they would describe the product or the service, and they can use a sort of creative story.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. So there's one.
I do remember the MetLife ones though, because I think at the end they had Snoopy kind of standing next to the logo. Um, if I remember right though, didn't MetLife separate themselves from Peanuts? Like they stopped using Snoopy in their ads or something?
Might have. That sounds right.
I feel like it happened at some point, but I'll have to double check.
Yeah, yeah. But I know even before they used like Peanuts characters integrated with live action stuff, they used all animation pretty much all Peanuts animation stuff in earlier years for
Sure.
those things, and I saw a bunch of that on YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah, and taken then another one, an ad for Gatorade, where they took the old "You Say Potato, I Say Potato" song, turned it into a sort of rap about athletic ability or athletic performance, and taken then the end talked about what Gatorade is made to do, rehydrate and replenish, and showed some athletic action stuff. So there's one.
Okay. I don't
Yeah,
quite remember those. But
yeah, yeah, yeah. And taken then there was one for Chrysler, starring the comedian Jim Gaffigan, where he's taking his kids out to play tennis, and he's sort of cryptically demonstrating a park assist feature on a Chrysler vehicle.
hmm,
Yeah,
I vaguely remember something like that. I
yeah.
definitely
But
know who Jim Gaffigan is, so that helps.
yeah, he did a couple or so different ads for Chrysler back in the time.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So maybe you're familiar with another one or another.
I probably am. I just can't picture any exact shots from the ad myself.
Yeah, well, yeah. And then I remember when Incredibles 2 was getting ready to come out, they did some ads with ads for Chrysler and a home security thing, and with Edna Mode kind of pointing out the stuff worth highlighting. I think like car features and home security features, and kind of incorporating mhm, rating at least Violet's superpowers into the story somewhere, and that was a good creative informative thing, both of those.
It definitely was. And at first, at first I wasn't remembering them too well, but the more you described it, the more I was able to picture it. Because I remember at one point, I think Violet was coming home late or something, and they were able to catch her because of the home security.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, those were good. I love that.
Yeah. And then one for a gum product, chewing gum, Orbit, where you've got like a thing of nachos with a face on it, and they say, "Don't let food hang around. Chew Orbit for that just brushed clean feeling."
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I yeah, not I do remember those. Man, this is a nostalgia trip right now.
Yeah. 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 Well, it kind of makes me want to carry Orbit around if I'm gonna kiss or something when I'm married or whatever.
Well, sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I'm thinking then there were a series of ads like when I was really young for Mazda where they show like time lapse shots from the point of view of a skateboard or a bicycle, and they say, "Hey, well, with this Mazda car, you can get the same feeling."
Now those I don't quite remember. Did it have actual skateboarders or was it just the viewpoint from a skateboard?
I can't remember. I can remember seeing like a skateboard or a bicycle, I believe, but yeah. So maybe I could see a person on it, sort of, but not sure about that.
Because depending on how far back it was, I wouldn't have been surprised if they had Tony Hawk in an ad like that.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Maybe that would have made sense. Maybe that would have boosted their popularity some.
Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, Tony Hawk is like the skateboard king.
Yeah,
And
he
that,
is definitely one of the legends.
yeah, yeah. And then I had just one more for a series of ads for AT&T. The "just okay is not okay" thing, where they're like, yeah, yeah, I'm okay at this. I did okay on this, and like the other people are like evidently concerned, and then it says,
Yep.
just okay is not okay. Yeah, I guess you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I do. There's a couple that come to mind. I think there was one that had two people in a restaurant or something to that equivalent, and the person serving them, they were saying, "Oh, I recently started," or "It's okay, I got this." And of course, that left the guest concerned. And I think there was one involving a doctor or some medical
Yeah,
provider.
yeah, a surgeon. Yeah.
It's like, "Have you done this before?" Not really.
Hmm. No, or I'm pretty good. Well, I just got unofficially reinstated. Said something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was closer to what you said.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. So there. That's all I've got for that one. Next question. What is a celebrity endorsement you think would be great for a certain product or service?
Now, I had just one, but I
Okay.
feel like it could be used creatively if they do it right. And it may sound weird, but
Okay.
I could see Dwayne The Rock Johnson advertising some cooking-based products. And the reason I say that is because during his wrestling career, one of the things Dwayne Johnson would say when he steps into the ring and grabs the mic, he would shout something along the lines of, "Can you smell what The Rock is cooking?"
Yeah, it's like his catchphrase, or was.
Yeah, so I feel like if they ever brought him in to advertise cooking products, he could use that tagline to segue into whatever it is he's advertising.
Yeah, that'd be kind of a clever twist, I think.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a couple. The first one I thought of was Tim Allen for Anchor Bar wing sauce. Now, for those who don't know, no, the Anchor Bar is where it's a place in Buffalo where the buffalo wing originated, technically, or so the story goes.
Mhm.
And but they have this um, wing sauce that they sell in bottles in stores that I have had. I've had the mild. I like it. It's good. And I've known Tim Allen for, uh, like talking on screen about being a big fan of of saucy or spicy foods or something like that. So and having an enthusiasm for that. So I think that's one good example.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. And then I said Bill Engvall and or Jeff Foxworthy for Valvoline. I recently had my oil changed at the Valvoline Instant Oil Change Station um, down the street from my house, and it was a good, simple process. They did a good job. Um, Bill Engvall and Jeff Foxworthy, they were part of the Blue Collar Comedy Troupe. They're stand-up comedians, like Southern comedians.
Is that the group that also featured Larry the Cable Guy?
Right. Yes. Yeah.
Okay, I know who you're talking about then.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm a fan of their comedy, specifically Bill and Jeff, and they, they talk about like, keeping life simple, that kind of thing, sort of in their material, and and they we talk about stuff like cars or that kind of thing, and so this might work.
I think Foxworthy even had a Christmas parody song of the 12 Days of Christmas that centered around redneck-based items, as he put it, and one of them involved parts to a car. So, yeah, I could definitely see that.
Parts to a Mustang GT. Yeah, I think
Yep,
it was. Yeah.
yep, that's exactly what it was.
Okay. So that's it for the questions that I got here. And if Jordan has a quiz, we'll go ahead and do that.
Yep, I got 4 questions this time.
Okay.
First off, which insurance company had an advertisement that featured Sonic the Hedgehog?
Insurance. Okay. I have a feeling it was Progressive, but I might be wrong.
It actually was Progressive.
Yeah, I kind of have a vague memory of that. I'm not sure if it's right though.
Well, let's
But
see. It featured Flo and I forget what the guy's name is,
oh,
but they were
one of
watching
the
him
I think it was
run
one of the
around.
first Flow ads. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think I might have seen a screenshot of it.
yeah, he was running around the facility supposedly looking for savings, but then she stopped him to show how he could save money, and then he did this little victory dance. And the last thing they showed was him looking at them through his eyes, which made everything look all cartoony.
Yeah.
And I
Well, maybe
think
I
it
just saw the
made
screenshot. Maybe I don't know.
maybe, but it still was amusing because I remember my mom told me about how she saw it once, and I just could not believe it. So she, after some searching, found it on YouTube and played it for me, and I'm like, "This is incredible! I never would have pictured these two things together."
Ah, that's so cool.
And then the next question I had for you: what was the name of the pig with the pinwheels in the Geico ads?
Hmm. Oh, I remember the character, but I can't recall him having a name though.
Well, in the most famous of the ones he was in, because there was more than one, they pull up to his house, and the lady driving him calls him by his name and tells him that he's home. He's like, "Oh, cool. Thanks, Mrs. A."
Um, was it Pete?
It was not Pete.
Uh, I don't know.
I'll at least steer you in the direction. It started with an M.
Mike?
No, not quite.
Ah, didn't really think so.
You want me to just tell you?
Yeah, sure.
It was Maxwell.
Okay,
Yeah.
Maxwell.
Yeah, they pull up to his house and she's like, "Maxwell, you're home."
All right. Okay.
Following, actually, most of the questions I had were based on Geico. The next one is, why was the camel excited in the Geico ad in which they were featured?
It was Hump Day.
Exactly. It was
Yes.
one that my mom and I quoted all the time simply because of how goofy it was. We also kind of laughed at how his jaw moved when he was cheering after somebody said it was Hump Day. But yeah, a lot of people, for whatever reason, at school or at home, that was the one that they often quoted.
Did you ever watch This Is Us?
I watched most of it. I don't think I watched the first season, oddly enough, but I did watch through to the finale.
Uh, well, you might notice a similarity between one one of those characters on the show and the camel, because one of those actors on This Is Us was the voice of that camel.
Which one would that have been?
Um, it was Chris Sullivan. He played Toby on This Is Us.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah. It more or less blew my mind the moment I found that out.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go watch that ad again now just so I can picture the guy saying it.
All right. What was the other one?
All right, the last one I had for you is the Geico Gecko actually has a name. Do you know what it is?
No idea.
All right, they actually named him Martin because they named him after the advertising agency that created him.
Okay. All right. So I've got a quiz myself. For some reason, I thought of football, probably because we did baseball before, or some other reason.
Sure.
So uh, I'm going to start with this one. What Northeastern-based team was the first to win 3 Super Bowls and is tied with the Patriots for the most Super Bowl titles?
Let's see. I know the Packers, I think they won the first 2 Super Bowls ever, but I don't think it's them. The other team that I know was winning a few Super Bowls or at least getting to the playoffs a lot was the Pittsburgh Steelers.
That's the one.
Okay, cool.
All right. All right. Next, after Tom Brady left, what superstar quarterback, self-nicknamed Superman, took his place as the Patriots' starting quarterback?
Okay, I know I've heard the guy's name before.
Yeah, yeah. He was a Heisman Trophy winner, had 2 on and off stints with the Panthers,
Okay.
was in ads for Dannon Oikos yogurt.
I do not remember.
Cam Newton.
Cam Newton, right.
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
don't know how I didn't know that because I heard the
yeah,
guy's name all the time after Brady left.
yeah. Right.
Huh.
All right. All right, next, Newton was later replaced by Mac Jones, who had earlier played on a very successful university team based in what southern state?
Well, the first state that came to my mind was Alabama.
That's it, yeah. University of Alabama.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
I didn't have a lot of knowledge behind that, so I'm surprised I got it right.
yeah. Yeah. All right. In Super Bowl 44, what religious sounding team kicked off the second half with an onside kick, got the ball, and scored to grab the lead?
What religious sounding team?
Yeah,
Like the team name sounded religious?
yeah, yeah.
See, I gotta flip through all the NFL teams in my head here.
Okay.
That's more American than religious. Let's see. Religious sounding team. There's no NFL team called the Angels. I feel like I should know this because the
Should I
Patriots, it's more American than religious.
Should I tell you?
Yeah, go ahead.
The Saints.
Of course.
Yeah.
I should have known
Okay.
because I like Drew Brees.
Oh yeah. So how do you like him as a commentator?
I haven't seen a lot of him commentating yet, but from what I understand, he's been doing pretty well at it.
Yeah, I think he's been doing pretty good.
I mean, he played the game for years, so he definitely knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, like most of the time in sports, the color commentators are like seasoned, retired pros of the game. So
Right.
All right. So next one. Who was drafted out of Syracuse University, or SU, in 1986 and later head coached SU and then the Bills and then the Jaguars? I know that's a lot.
Well, it's not so much that. It's more so that I just really don't know most of the coaches' names. I know there's Belichick because he was absolutely notorious with the Patriots.
Yeah.
The Eagles used to have Andy Reid, but I think he moved on to the Chiefs.
Yeah. And won the Super Bowl with them.
Right. And I used to know what the coach's name for the Seahawks was, but I'm not sure about this one.
Yeah, that was a tough one. Doug Marrone.
Okay, yeah, I'm not entirely sure who that is, but
yeah. Okay. Next, what rapper and multiple-time Grammy host starred in the movie Any Given Sunday?
Any Given Sunday. See, I haven't watched that movie, so I'm not sure I'd know that one either.
All right, so a rapper and multiple-time Grammy host.
A rapper, multiple-time Grammy host. And I'm assuming it's a big name rapper if he was doing all that.
Oh, yeah.
The first one that came to my mind was Chance the Rapper, but I don't think that's it.
Nah.
There's Snoop Dogg, but I don't think that's it either.
No.
Shoot. Is this rapper still around? Like, are they still alive?
As far as I know.
Okay. It wouldn't be Eminem.
Nah.
No. Trying to think of the other rappers whose names I know. Shoot.
Yeah. LL Cool J.
Okay, yeah, that name I had heard before, but I probably
Yeah.
would have struggled to come up with it.
Yeah. All right. What star of Scrubs acted in Disney's Remember the Titans and was in a Super Bowl commercial just this year?
Say all that again?
All right. So, what star of Scrubs acted in Disney's Remember the Titans and was in a Super Bowl commercial just this year?
Scrubs, Remember the Titans, Super Bowl ad. Scrubs, Remember the Titans. See, I never watched Scrubs or Remember the Titans. I know of them, and I remember them being on television at some point.
Yeah, it was Donald Faison.
Donald Faison.
Yeah, it was some sort of he's the sort of like more black bald dude who was on the show.
Okay, I'll have to look up his name because it rings a very small bell, but I
Yeah,
have trouble picturing them.
yeah. All right, all right, all right. The other one, my last one here. This year's Super Bowl pitted two number one draft pick quarterbacks against each other, but only one of them played the game, this specific Super Bowl game, for the same team that drafted them. The other quarterback in the game was originally on what team?
Uh, well, the Super Bowl that came to my mind was the Bucks and the Chiefs, but I think that was the year before.
Yeah. All right, this was the Bengals and Rams Super Bowl this February.
Bengals and Rams, and then the question was what again?
All right, so there were two quarterbacks. One of them played the game for the same team that drafted them, but the other one was on a team different from the one that drafted them. So the question is, for the one that was not on the team that selected them in the draft, what was the team that selected them when they started in the league? All right.
Okay, I got it now. What was the team that originally drafted them? I'm trying to remember the quarterback for the Rams because I heard his name a lot, and he was highly respected, like saying he was really good. Or maybe it was one of his fellow players. But see, this is one I know I've heard before, but I'm having a little bit of difficulty actually thinking of his name.
They're known for wearing the color blue and for hosting games on Thanksgiving.
The Cowboys?
The Lions.
Oh, the Lions. Okay, because I know the Cowboys often have a
Yeah.
Thanksgiving game.
Yeah. So Matthew Stafford, the winning quarterback, was originally drafted by the Lions and then joined the Rams and won with them.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so that was all I had for that, and now all that's left is news that bites and news that rocks, and I'll let you go ahead with your thing that bites today.
Okay. Starting with my news that bites, I wrote down that within this past week, the actor James Caan ended up passing away. Now, if people listening don't know who James Caan was, he was in at least a couple of the Godfather movies, I think, but he also was well known for playing Buddy's father in the movie Elf.
He also was the male lead in a film adaptation of a Stephen King book called Misery, which I don't know if I'm gonna watch it, but it's an interesting concept. Basically, it's about an author who is injured in some kind of accident, and then he is threatened into changing his writing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. 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 So he played the writer in that.
Okay.
Yeah. And yeah, I'm sure that James will be missed by many, and yeah, well, yeah, and his family and his friends have my support.
As do they me.
And my thing that bites is something that is probably nationally known well by now, but probably worth highlighting, sort of.
Sure.
The shooting at the 4th of July parade in Highland Park, Illinois.
Yeah, I remember that. I'm trying to remember the exact facts that they had about the perpetrator for this one. I can't remember if he was the one they said was 20 years old, but it didn't sound like he was that old, anyways. But yeah, I remember them specifically talking about that one because they ended up interviewing a few people that witnessed it at the parade after the fact.
I just remember, hearing and seeing the breaking news on ABC about it on that day, on the 4th, and I remember thinking at some point, that's like one of the worst times for that to happen, or something like that, to happen.
I think the one thing I remember them saying was the person who did it, they had planned it out for at least a couple weeks, so they knew exactly what they were doing. They knew exactly what they were getting into, which was very concerning.
Like, way beyond premeditated.
Oh, absolutely. It wasn't just hey, I'm going to go fire at some people or anything to that effect. It's like, no, they had this planned out.
Not just a spontaneous decision, more like, I'm going to wait for the right time and I'm going to do it then.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, probably not good to joke about it, but
well, no, we're not joking about it. We're just stating that they had this very well premeditated, and like you said, it wasn't a spontaneous decision.
Well, anyway, moving on. What have you got that rocks today?
The story that I have that rocks, this is one I stumbled across that I thought was really cool. There was a teenager, I believe they said he was 16. He ended up saving 3 girls and a police officer from drowning, because what happened was these 3 girls, they were driving along somewhere. I forget where they were going or coming from, but they were, I don't want to say blindly, but they were just following exactly what the GPS told them to do, and they ended up taking a turn they shouldn't have and drove straight into a river. This 16-year-old happened to be around at the time, and without even thinking, he left his loose belongings on the shore, jumped into the river, and started saving them. And then while this was happening, a police officer came in to try and help, but the officer ended up getting pushed underwater by one of the people that was drowning, so he ended up swallowing water. But this 16-year-old, with some help, he ended up saving the lives of all 3 girls and that officer without even thinking of his own safety.
So everyone survived?
As far as I know, yeah.
All right.
His quick thinking saved everybody.
All right, cool. Yeah, that's probably one of the worst nightmares in my imagination, driving into water.
Yeah, I've had that thought come across my mind too, particularly when I'm driving next to a body of water that has no railing.
Well, they should probably have railings.
Huh?
They should probably have railings over there.
Well, for the most part, they do, but I think there's a couple spots where there isn't. And I'm primarily thinking of the parkway that is near where we are. I think it's officially called the Ontario State Parkway, something along that line.
Yeah, I think that's just a few miles down the road from me.
Yeah, I believe there are some spots by bodies of water where there's water on both sides, and I think there's a couple areas where there isn't much of a railing, if there is any at all. And I imagine if this vehicle that these girls were driving drove straight into a river, there probably wasn't much of a railing there either.
Yeah. Yeah. I've seen like car commercials where they're driving on what looks like a cliffside road with no guardrails whatsoever. I think that's not right.
No, it is a little bit of a hazard, as it were.
Well, anyway, my news that rocks. It's something that a lot of people probably know about, I guess, and about maybe it's just going on for a limited time. I'm not sure, but there is apparently a Stranger Things store with locations in Chicago, Dallas, and Paris.
Now, does it specifically advertise itself as a Stranger Things store, or does it
Yeah,
just note that
yeah.
it sells Stranger Things products?
It's more like the former, so it more like sells itself as a Stranger Things store.
And it's a physical place. It's not like a website or anything.
Right, yeah.
Wow.
It's a physical place, yeah, like with sort of immersive Stranger Things experience. It's really hard to explain. I think you should look it up and read about it for yourselves. But
Sure.
But it's one of the hottest television shows arguably out there now, and it's got a lot of things to potentially appreciate. So, and there's a lot of potential fun in it. So maybe if you get the chance and take a visit, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, so that's all for that. So thanks everyone for joining us, and keep up with us on Spotify, Anchor, Google Podcasts, YouTube, and Facebook. And then share your thoughts, your questions, comments, and chat with us. And keep following what we do.
And if you have any ideas for future episodes, or if there's a specific question you have in regards to a topic in a previous episode, feel free to let us know those as well, and we'll find some way probably to be able to address it in a future episode.
Thanks again, everyone, and we'll see you soon, hopefully.
Take care, everyone.